Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin amma ba'd. Brothers and sisters, welcome to lesson 19 of module 4 of Learn Tajweed for Allah. Alhamdulillah, we are dealing with the perfecting of the letters. Perfecting the letters by discussing their sifat. We finished with 2. Today we are still going to continue with Babu Sifatil Huruf. That is the chapter on characteristics of letters. And today we are going to deal with the remaining 3 sets of sifat that has opposites. Last week we finished discussing the second group of letters with opposites. The Arabic letter relative to the flow of the sound. الشديدة والرخوة والمتوسطة, the strong, the soft, those are the opposites, and then in between is mutawassita. So this group contained 3 sets, and we discussed this inshallah. In today's class we'll start by discussing the third group with opposites, al-isti'ala, the elevating, wal-istifal, the lowering, the Arabic letters relative to the direction of the sound. Al-isti'ala wal-istifal, that is Arabic letters relative to the direction of the sound. We start with al-isti'ala, letters that are musta'liyah. The sound elevates towards the upper palate when it is pronounced. Its letters are khussa, dawtin, qiz. The sound, notice, the sound elevates towards the upper palate when it is pronounced. When each one of these letters are pronounced, the sound elevates towards the upper palate. The letters of isti'ala are khussa, dawtin, qiz. On the other hand, we have al-istifal letters that are mustafila. The sounds of each letter do not elevate towards the upper palate when it is pronounced. Its letters are all the remaining letters from the 29 letters of the alphabet. We have 7 for letters of isti'ala. The istifal letters are going to be therefore 22. The letters of isti'ala and istifal, the Arabic letters relative to the direction of the sound. This is what istifal and isti'ala represents. Here we have an example of one letter of the letters of isti'ala, qaf, on the right hand picture. On the other side we have a letter, the example of kaf, a letter that is mustafila. Okay, so qaf is a letter from the letters of al-isti'ala. The voice ascends with the isti'ala letter. The arrow indicates that the sound is pressured towards the highest point of the mouth, towards the cave of the mouth or the upper palate. This is the same with all isti'ala letters. The sound is always elevated and pushed towards and pressured towards the highest point of the mouth. Kaf is a letter from the letters of istifal. The voice falls or drops with the istifal letter. The arrow that we see there, the arrows indicate the falling of the sound when the kaf is pronounced. This is the same with all the istifal letters. So the sound is never ever elevated. These 7 letters, khussa, dawtin, qiz, are also known as the letters of tafkhim, which has to do with fatness or fullness. In brief, this attribute of tafkhim is a right of the letter, and it is a resultant due of the letter also. When pronouncing any of these 7 letters, the posterior portion of our tongue needs to elevate up to the roof of the mouth. The opposite of al-isti'ala is al-istifal. The linguistic definition of al-istifal is dropping or lowering. In Tajweed, al-istifal is defined as the absence of pressuring the letter to the roof of the mouth due to the lack of raising the deepest part of the tongue when pronouncing a letter of istifal. So, this attribute, in both cases, the attributes of isti'ala while istifal simply discusses the position in which the sound is directed. That's what we said from the beginning, the direction of the sound. A, either pressure to elevate to the top or B, no pressure on the sound, so it just falls, drops, or descends. In the above section, we discussed the third group with opposites, al-isti'la'u, the elevating, wal-istifal, and that is dealing with the Arabic letters relative to the direction of the sound. Inshallah, in what follows, we are going to discuss the fourth group with opposites, al-itbaqu wal-infitah. Al-itbaq has to do with the adhering. Infitah has to do with separating. And this has to do with the Arabic letters relative to confining the sound between the tongue and the upper palate, or not confining it. Confining the sound between the tongue and the upper palate. That is what al-itbaq is about. Whereas infitah is its opposite. So al-itbaq wal-infitah, the Arabic letters relative to confining the sound between the tongue and the upper palate. We start by discussing al-itbaq, which is the confining of the sound of the itbaq letter between the tongue and the roof of the mouth. This confinement of the sound is called itbaq. Its letters are Sad, Dad, Ta, and Dha. All of its letters are from the letters of al-isti'la. All of the letters are musta'liyah. All of them are elevated. All four of these letters are elevated letters. On the other side, we have al-infitah. In Tajweed, al-infitah is defined as the absence of confinement of the sound of the infitah letter between the tongue and the roof of the mouth. Its letters are the remaining letters. So we have 4 out of 29. So 25 of them are letters of infitah. 25 of them are letters of infitah. 4 are letters of itbaq. Al-itbaq, that is, the sound is confined or compressed between the tongue and the upper palate. Look at the dha in the example that we are presenting to show one of the letters of itbaq. Look at the position of the tongue when the dha is pronounced. The dha, adh. The arrows indicate that the sound is pressured towards the upper part of the mouth and is compressed between the tongue and the upper palate. This compression is called itbaq by the scholars. Itbaq is called itbaq, the compression of the sound between the tongue and the upper palate is called itbaq. Another way in which we can divide these letters is from the perspective of elevation, elevating, or al-isti'la wal istifal, compared to or relative to compressed al-itbaq al-infitah, and not compressed, and non-compressed sounds. The Arabic letters, we are going to use that as our broad head, can be divided into al-itbaq, confined or compressed sound, while infitah, non-confined or non-compressed sounds. So, the first category are the letters of itbaq that are compressed and confined are 4. Sad, Dad, Ta, and Dha. And these letters also are elevated. They are musta'liyah. They are letters from al-isti'la. So they have two attributes. They have the attribute of al-isti'la and al-itbaq at the same time. Okay? So they are very elevated. They are the most elevated letters in the Arabic alphabet. Then we have letters that are elevated, but not from the category of itbaq. They are from the category of infitah. They are not confined and compressed, right? And these are the remaining from the 7 letters. So we have 4 that are itbaq. So the remaining is going to be 3. Kha, Ghain, and Qaf. These letters are letters of isti'la, but they are not itbaq. They are from the letters of infitah. The other set of letters that we have, which is the final set, which is the rest of it, the other 22 letters, are letters of istifal, and they are also not compressed and confined, right? They are letters of istifal, but they are also munfatih. They are also not compressed or confined. Okay, so that's the third category, which have the most of the letters. 22 of the letters are in this category. Okay, so this is a clear distinction of the itbaq, which letters are itbaq by themselves, which letters and isti'la, they have isti'la in them, which letters are they have isti'ala, but they are munfatih, and which letters are istifal and munfatih. So here we are going to put together one picture to compare the compressed, the itbaq, and the non-compressed, the infitah. Okay, so we have the three categories here: the elevated, the isti'ala, and compressed, confined itbaq. Alright, the letters that are itbaq but also elevated. All the itbaq letters are isti'ala, are musta'aliyah, they are elevated. All of the letters of itbaq are elevated. The sound is directed upwards and confined between the tongue and the upper palate. So all of the itbaq letters are musta'aliyah, they are elevated, right? So we don't have any problem with that. Sad, dad, ta, and dha. The other category are, these letters are elevated, qaf, kha, and ghain, and not confined or compressed, right? They are munfatih letters. They are letters that are munfatih. There is elevation of the tongue, the back of the tongue, but the sound is not confined or compressed. So the letters are musta'aliyah, but they don't have any itbaq in them. There's no compression. There's actually infitah. There is no compression. The third category are the letters that are istifal, they are lowered, they are the letters that are mustafila, and they are not compressed. The remaining of the letters are all lowered and at the same point not compressed or confined. Right? These are the remaining 22 letters of the Arabic alphabet. Above, we discussed the fourth group with opposites, al-itbaq wal-infitah. And alhamdulillah, that is not very difficult because it is really just an extension from the previously discussed attribute, al-isti'ala wal-istifal, the Arabic letters relative to confining the sound between the tongue and the upper palate. In what follows, we will discuss the fifth group with opposites, al-dhalaqatu, which means the fluency, wal-ismat, the refusal. Here, the fifth group with opposites, al-dhalaqatu, the fluency, and al-ismat, the refusal. This group, the last of the 5 pairs of opposite characteristics, is special since both of the characteristics in this pair have no applied Tajweed application. It is actually something to do with grammar. Okay, so these two characteristics have more to do with Arabic language and are only included here because they are found in Tajweed books. The scholar that we are studying his book with, Ash-Shatibi, he brought it. So this is why we are talking about it, inshallah. Al-dhalaqatu is defined linguistically as fluency or purity of language. Most specifically, it relies on the tip of the tongue and lips in pronouncing these letters. Al-dhalaqatu has to do with the tip. Al-dhalaqatu, dhalqu shay means the tip, its tip. So here it is the tip, it is the pronouncing of the sound using the tip of the tongue and the lips in pronouncing the letters. Its letters are farra min lub, farra min lub. The fa, the mim, and the ba are from the letters of the lips. The ra and the noon and the lam are letters of the that are pronounced on the tip of the tongue. Ar, an, al, af, am, ab. These are the 6 letters of al-dhalaqa. There must be a letter from al-dhalaqa, and this is the Arabic aspect of it, present in a 4 or 5 letter root for the word to be Arabic in origin. And this has to do with grammar and surf. If none of the letters in the 4 letter root are from this group of farra min lubbin, then the word is not an Arabic word. So this is what we were talking about. And most of us would not understand that unless we study the Arabic language. So we discussed al-ismat. Al-ismat is defined linguistically as desisting or refusal. The letter that has this characteristic is considered heavier because it doesn't rely on the tip of the tongue. When it comes off the tip of the tongue, it flows naturally and easily. So, alhamdulillah, this is the completion of the final 3 characteristics with opposites. So we praise Allah for allowing us to complete lesson 19 of module 4. And we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with this effort and help us to make the effort to really understand all of this and to practice it, inshallah, in our recitation of the Quran. We close by saying, Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik, Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.